Now, why is it that her confirmation is the hardest of all of them? Well, because the intel agencies are so resistant to any change. And a lot of these senators, to be perfectly honest, have been fed BS by these intel agencies for so long and acting as if that they've done nothing wrong and we can't reform them and it's jeopardizing national security.
All right, let's get into this. Megyn Kelly and Charlie Kirk have been unapologetic about their views on the intelligence agencies, and honestly, they're saying what a lot of Americans are already thinking. These agencies have operated without accountability for far too long, and anyone who dares challenge them gets railroaded. What we're seeing right now with Tulsi Gabbard's nomination is just another example of how the intelligence community protects itself at all costs. So let's break this down.
Well, on the other side of it, how much damage has our intel agencies done? We invaded Iraq wrongly, by the way, because of faulty intelligence on weapons of mass destruction. We got involved in Libya, something we never should have gotten involved in, which turned into the Libyan civil war because we were told Muammar Gaddafi is like the worst person on the planet. Or how about all the faulty intelligence in the Russian-Ukrainian war, or the faulty intelligence that we've seen all across the Middle East, in Syria, or in parts of Lebanon? What Tulsi Gabbard wants to do is restore the integrity of the nation's intelligence service. Now, there's some interesting elements in here, and I've been really hammering this, unsuccessfully, by the way. I think it's outrageous that they're not doing this vote in public. It is the only agency official where, I think the CIA maybe, but that one wasn't as controversial, where they go into a SCIF, a secure compartmentalized information facility, and they do this vote outside of the public eye. And I think that's outrageous. I think when you're trying to elect somebody who's a lifelong transparency advocate, and you're going to go into a secret facility and we can't see how the actual members vote, I find that to be repulsive. I think people should be incensed about that. I think that our elected officials should not operate in the shadows, that they should tell you how they vote.
Yeah, this right here is peak government hypocrisy. Megyn Kelly and Charlie Kirk have been hammering this point for years. Transparency is only for the little people. When we demand answers, they hide behind national security. When they make catastrophic decisions, we're told to just trust them. But when someone like Tulsi Gabbard, who's actually calling for accountability, comes along, suddenly it's all done in secret. Unbelievable.
And so just to reiterate, when they actually end up voting for Tulsi Gabbard, this will not be like how they vote for Bobby Kennedy, where they sit out and they say, aye, nay, aye. Okay, the ayes have it, goes out of committee. They go into a secret room where no cell phones, no staff, only members are allowed in a secure compartmentalized information facility, and they'll say, well, what do we think about Tulsi? And they'll take the vote, and they could decide to make the results public, or they could lie about the results, or they could do vote trading. I think the front page of a certain newspaper says democracy dies in darkness. Hey, Washington Post, any interest in this one? Where our elected senators are going into a SCIF to go determine the future of who is the custodian of our nation's secrets? If that is not darkness, what is darkness? Because we don't know how Mike Rounds is going to vote, or Todd Young, please, yes.
The risk in them doing it is, what we think is that if they sink her nomination, it will be the Republicans who sink her. I mean, that's what's going to happen here because they have the majority.
Of course, and we won't know.
But they were even harder on her yesterday than the Dems. Honestly, it was like, it was tough to find somebody who sounded like they were going to defend her. She handled herself beautifully. I mean, she was articulate and poised and strong and unflappable. It was to the point where I was there and I brought my assistant, Abby, who comes with me pretty much everywhere. And Abby's got 2 young daughters. And she said, I'm going to make my daughters watch this. I want them to see this. Like, she always looks for strong, articulate women so she can show her young girls, look at that. Like, that's possible. You can be that. And that's so great. That's how strong she was. She never lost her cool. I mean, it was actually an example in how to handle yourself. But there was absolutely no warmth coming her way from the other side of the aisle. I mean, I mean across the hearing room, whether you were on the left or the right. So I left worried, and my pal Glenn Greenwald, who's a big Tulsi advocate, is worried too. And I just don't even know what to do to help her, Charlie. I'm not sure how we help her.
Well, so we have to keep the one element of hope is that the chairman of the Senate Intel Committee is Tom Cotton. He has
He's
voiced
great.
support, and he went on Sean Hannity's program, and he said that he thinks Tulsi's going to get confirmed. So here is my hope. My hope is that senators who really don't like Tulsi are going to go in this SCIF, and they're going to feel all the public pressure, and they'll say, guys, let's just vote to put her on the floor. Now, understand, you can vote for her in committee and then vote against her in the floor, which is probably the deal that they're brokering with Susan Collins, to be perfectly honest, right? That they say, hey, just get her out of committee. Now, once it's on the floor, there's no SCIF, there's no hiding. That is in public.
So, I mean, yeah, this is exactly why Megyn Kelly and Charlie Kirk keep telling people to pay attention to these fights. This is the only way we'll ever know who's actually standing up for transparency and who's just playing along with the deep state. Because let's be honest, if these senators could get away with keeping every vote secret, they would. The fact that they even want to do this behind closed doors tells you everything you need to know.
My hope is that these senators will all talk a really, really good game, but when that roll call actually starts to come, that they might falter. So we have a 53 Senate majority, which, so you kind of go at this. Okay, McConnell is probably a no because he's just the worst. Let's just say that John Curtis from Utah is a no. That gets us down to 51. So you could lose one more. Will Susan Collins come through for us in the end? Will Murkowski come through for us? How will Lankford vote? How will Todd Young vote?
Cornyn?
We don't know, but Cornyn. I think Cornyn will end up voting for her. Look, if Cornyn does not vote for her,
like
he is done in he is done in Texas, by the way, if he does not vote for Bobby Kennedy. And that's not a veiled threat. I can tell right now there's very well-funded opposition that is being mounted. He's in a deep red state. He's already, in a lot of ways, deeply unpopular. We've said at Turning Point Action that if you oppose President Trump's nominees and you are from one of these red states, we are going to fund a primary challenge against you. We've been very open about that. And in fact, we were unafraid to issue those kinds of salvos during the whole Pete Hegseth situation in December, and obviously helped contribute to the reversal and the pivot from that. I mean, Pete Hegseth went down from like a 1% to 2% chance of becoming Secretary of Defense to now just doing an extraordinary job. So I don't want to say, okay, what is the percentage chance of Tulsi advancing? If she gets out of committee, her chances will improve dramatically. Her fight is in the committee, which of course happens in the shadows and in the darkness.
At the end of the day, Megyn Kelly and Charlie Kirk have been spot on about the corruption and secrecy within our intelligence agencies. These agencies are not some noble, selfless protectors of democracy. They have their own interests, their own power structures, and they'll do whatever it takes to protect themselves. This whole Tulsi Gabbard situation, it's just the latest example. The real question is, will anyone in Congress actually have the guts to stand up to them, or will they just keep operating in the shadows like they always do?